lost all control. Gravity is all that I know. She's over me. She's over me. She caught me with her hypnotic dance. She holds me here with only a glance. She's over me. She's over me. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Night Terrors, the Paranormal Portal Night Terrors. I am your host, Brent Thomas. Absolutely thrilled to have you guys here with me. Thank you so much for everybody that's coming in, has been messaging me, and has been a part of the show or is becoming a part of the show now. It's always great to see this continue to expand. This is our Night Terrors episode, and these are our shorter format shows. So I think they're a lot of fun. I enjoy these a lot. It's a little less intense than the 2-hour shows, but hopefully they're packed full of entertaining information and ideas, and you enjoy them all the same. So the phone lines will be open throughout the duration of our show tonight, and if you want to call in, please feel free to do so. I'd love to hear from you if you've got something paranormal of your very own to share. The number for the show is 720-923-0500. Again, 720-923-0500. So that is the way you can get in touch with me if you have something paranormal of your very own that you'd like to share. I'm always loving when the phone calls happen. Not that they're necessary, of course. I'm good just talking if you guys want to just kick back and listen. But if you got something and you think it would be a good addition to the conversation, please feel free. There's never a good time. There's never a bad time. It's just time. It's time. But anyway, I guess that's all I got on the front end. I hope you all are ready, because it's time for bed. Boom, there we go. We are now fully underway here on the Paranormal Portal Night Terrors. I'm still your host, Brent Thomas, and hopefully I'll keep you wildly entertained throughout the duration of our journey tonight. At least mildly entertained is my bare minimum goal. But hopefully it's better than watching the weeds grow or whatever the hell's going on in your world. But anyway, I got some stories pulled up for you. But before I go further, I want to say somebody pointed this out. And now here's the thing. What was pointed out was, hey, somebody on YouTube, and let me get to the comment here because I want to make sure to do it justice. They were like, let me see, how did they say it? He said, Brent, you have orbs again. Watch your Blue Line Bigfoot episode. Tons of lights all flew all over the place, mainly to the left of you again. A lot from 27 minutes and then at 41 minutes and after. Sometimes to your right, but mostly on your left. So I went back and watched it, and here's the thing. The way this is set up is, it was an earlier show when I was doing the Blue Line Bigfoot interview. It was earlier in the day than normally when I do the portals, obviously because I had to get back and do a portal after that. But there is a window right over here. However, I have a blackout curtain on it, and there is no light leaks coming in because when you watch it, it's like you see these little lights, and I don't know if they're not like lights in the traditional sense, not like these lights that are on the microphone stand, but they're these little flashes and like almost a a very slow strobing effect on some of them, and others are these little things coming by. So initially, when you look at it, it's like, well, could that be just some dust particles or something closer to the lens that are illuminated? And as they rotate or twist in the air because they're so small, they catch light and flash it into the camera. But there isn't any light leaks coming through there that should be illuminating anything. So if it's a blackout curtain that I have on the window here, and so it really does block all of the light. There's a kind of a heavy duty curtain on the window across the room, but there's no direct sunlight coming in there. It's just ambient glow, and it blocks a lot of it, but it lets there be light in the room, so it's not completely black. I didn't do blackout curtains on both of them, just the one over here where it would interfere mostly with what's going on. So there was no direct lighting coming in that should be doing that. It's very anomalous. I don't know. I can't say for certain that it's paranormal, but it's definitely weird. I can't explain why they're showing up. I don't know what they are. I'm not making any claims, but if you go to the Blue Line Bigfoot episode where I was on with them, it's their Mountain Stream number 7, and that took place yesterday. If you look at those timestamps and start watching around me, there are several of them going over here. Now, for those of you that are familiar with the show, you'll remember when I was on, what is it? Hidden. What is Daniela's show again? I'm sorry, I'm so terrible with names. But Daniela does a show. Daniela Iolo, she does a show, and it's called. Let me try to get to it here. It's called. Oops, that's not the one. Let's see if I got a Hidden Existence. I'm so sorry, Danielle. It's my apologies, but I'm just dyslexic for names. I always have to have them right in front of me. But there was an orb that appeared on that one that I found very strange. So now I think that Adam and Jake may be the problem, though, because both of the times that weird anomalous lights have occurred here in the studio have been when I was on a show with one of them, because they also appeared on the Hidden Existence episode that I was on with Daniela, and now again when I was on Blue Line Bigfoot show. So I wonder what's going on there. I don't know. Thank you, Jake. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm just so bad with names. And it embarrasses the hell out of me, because it's not because I don't take enough interest to know. It's just that for some reason, names have always disconnected in my head. I'll remember a face until I die, but putting a name to it sometimes is just, it's like there's some kind of mental misfire there. So my apologies. It's never because I don't care, but yeah, it could be Adam. That's right, Cha-Cha. It might be Adam. Only time I've ever seen or heard claims of orbs appearing are when I'm talking with you guys, Jake. And you guys weren't on the show yet when I was on Hidden Existence with Daniela, but you were coming on, so you were kind of present. Maybe. I'm just saying, you gotta look at the whole possibilities. But it is very interesting, and I hope you go over to Blue Line Bigfoot channel on YouTube. Check out that video. Check out all their videos, because they're just great guys, and I had a lot of fun. I really listened to the whole thing today again as I was looking at those anomalies and like, wow. So I don't have an explanation for them. I can't say, yes, those are definitely paranormal orbs that you guys are witnessing. I can't say that, obviously, because I just don't know. I don't know how to explain what it is that does appear there. I don't have a normal explanation for it. So, and it's not that it's not possible. So please don't ever assume that I'm making a solid paranormal claim like, hey, you want to see spirit orbs? Check out that episode. But it is interesting nonetheless. Yep. So there you go. But check it out. It was cool. And I appreciate that listener. That listener's name was Under Dulce, under D-U-L, under, and then D-U-L-S, D-U-L-C-E is the viewer that commented on that on the YouTube channel, on our video as well. So that was very cool. But I love that kind of stuff because, is it possible? Sure, it's possible. It's just these very little motes of light is all I can say. So they're, usually when you picture, you think of an orb, you hear there's claims of, baseball, basketball sized orbs that people have witnessed. And then there's these little dinky things. And, that Mrs. Portal's out there. using a mixer or something. Like, what the hell is that noise? But yeah, I mean, they are very interesting little anomalies. Again, can't say they're paranormal, but they're unusual. So check them out if you'd like. I'd appreciate it, and I know the Blue Line guys would appreciate it too. And subscribe to their channel. They're great guys, and they're working real hard, and they take a lot of pride in what they're doing, and fantastic people on top of that. So anyway, again, coming up this Saturday on the portal, I want to just announce it here as well. We've got our very own Carlton, the Pharmacy Seeds Network, is going to be joining the Paranormal Portal for an episode on nutrition. So that'll be coming up on this Saturday. Now, you might think, well, why the hell are you doing a nutrition show? Well, here's the thing. I often talk about the importance of having balance and having, becoming spiritually aware. Now, we oftentimes think that's an exercise of the spirit or that's a mental exercise. But here's the thing. We are encased in these physical bodies, and these bodies are a huge part of what we are. They are our mechanism in this world. And if you're treating your mechanism like crap, then you can't expect to have it working as well as it should be. Now, it's important to have a true spiritual awareness and balance. I think nutrition is definitely a part of that factor. Now, in talking with Carlton, he's obviously incredibly knowledgeable about nutrition, about supplements, about different parts of that equation, and I'm not. So I can't sit here and try to educate you guys about this stuff or just share information. I'm sure many of you out there are as well. But in talking with Carlton, it was like, we gotta have a show about this, because we've really ignored that facet of our existence on this show. But the importance of health and being in good condition as you're on this journey, and it certainly is practiced among all of the seriously devout spiritual practices in the world. A big portion of that is nutrition, is health. And so that's going to be a great show, and that'll be Saturday night right here on the show. So please tune in and check that out. Don and I will be welcoming Carlton to the show, and we'll get into it for a full 2 hours. If you've got questions, have them ready. We'll be happy to entertain questions from the chat or even call-ins later in the show. So, but it should be a good opportunity for all of us to learn. I know I've neglected my health for a number of years, pretty much all my life. I've eaten terribly. I'm not a big fan of exercising, mostly due to physical limitation, but also because it's inconvenient. But as I'm aging, I'm finding it more important. And so hopefully we'll all learn together and have a great experience. So that'll be coming up this Saturday. And a week from Friday night, Deb will be rejoining us for readings. And that'll be on Friday the 8th. And I might be missing some, but I know on the 16th, we're going to be welcoming back Mr. Dean Harrison of Australia. He's if you didn't catch part 1, you should definitely check that out. It was a fantastic discussion and some amazing stories and encounters that he has had and has worked on. This man has been at it for over 25 years, investigating the Yowie phenomena in Australia, and he's just a fantastic guy as well. So that'll be on the 16th. So those are the big show announcements coming up going forward, but I got some stories for you tonight, and hopefully you're ready to be more entertained. So, oh yeah, thanks. Farm says, excellent discussion. It really was. Yeah. Sorry, I'm multitasking here, and being me, I can't multitask very well. The first story tonight is coming from Florida, ladies and gentlemen, and this one is a long one. So buckle your seats. Make sure you got your libation close, and we'll dive into this and see what we find out in Florida. And it has to do with a haunted life. And it says, previously I talked about my baby brother seeing and feeling things of the paranormal, and the story was titled A Woman's Voice and My Stepdad's Brother Henry. Just to recap, my baby brother Benjamin saw a figure in my doorway at my old house when he was 2 years old. Mistaking the figure for my stepdad Joe, Ben later told us that the figure was not his father, my stepdad, but was a man who looked like my stepdad. And the day after he saw this figure, Joe, my stepdad, had gotten a call from his sister Mary, and she had said that their sibling Henry had died the night before. Asking Joe to go through any photo albums to take out pictures of Henry that she could use in a slideshow. Well, when Joe, my mom Laura, and my brother Robert, Ben, and I started going through the photo albums, Joe came across a picture of Henry, and Ben, without taking a second glimpse, pointed out to all of us that that was the man he saw in my bedroom doorway the night before. Again, for the full story, go back and check it out. And we did cover that one. I recall that one. I don't know if you guys do, but I do. And it says, in the summer of 2007, my grandmother, older brother Robert, Aunt Carol, and I went on a little summer trip to West Virginia to see my dad and my other family. We packed up on a bright June Florida morning and left in an instant. My mom had to work, and my baby brother Ben had summer camp, so they all stayed behind. And now, mind you, in the summer of 2007, Ben was 7 years old. My mom and Ben went to my grandma's house to stay for the week. We were gone to West Virginia to take care of my grandma's animals, 3 dogs, 1 cat, and 2 birds. Well, Ben loves animals, and he loves my grandmother's dogs. That weekend, during the time we were gone, Ben was outside in my grandma's backyard playing with the 3 dogs. My mom was inside making dinner for her and Ben, and my mom said that it was about 6:45 or 7 o'clock in the evening when she went out into the backyard to let Ben know that dinner was ready. And when she got out there, she saw all 3 dogs barking at the fence in the back of the backyard, with Ben standing about 10 to 12 feet away from the fence. My mom said she hollered out Ben's name 4 times before Ben paid any attention to the fact that my mom was yelling for him. When he finally came around, my mom said it looked like he shook his body and turned around and made a jet for the back door. When he got inside, my mom told him to wash up and sit at the table. So he did. When he sat down, he started crying. My mom asked him why he was crying, and to her surprise, this is what he said. There was a little girl about his age standing around the back fence, floating back and forth in front of him. She was wearing a white, holey, it was a very tattered dress, that went down to the knees, but she didn't have any legs. Her legs and feet were just not there. She had short blonde hair and her eyes weren't there. The only thing he saw for her eyes was dark black circles. And he could see through her to the fence, which she stood in front of. My mom asked him, "Do you know what she was?" And he said to her, without any hesitation, "Yeah, she's a ghost." Well, my mom was a little baffled by this and kept it in the back of her head, not bringing it up. When my family and I returned back from West Virginia to my grandma's house, we all went inside to tell our mom about the trip. And then out of nowhere, Ben grabbed my hand and said, "Come on, sissy, come outside with me." So I got up and I went into the backyard where he took me. He told me to stand in a certain spot about, I'd say, 10 to 12 feet away from the back fence in the backyard. But then he then looked up to my face and asked me, "Do you see her?" I glanced at him and I was kind of in shock by this, and I asked my baby brother, "Ben, what do you mean? Do I see who?" He started laughing at me and said, "Her," as he pointed his finger up towards the fence. I was just so confused. A lot of thoughts crossed my head as I stood there with my little brother's hand in mine. And as he stood by my side, he then went on to proceed to me, "Sissy, her name is Camilla. And by this time, I was just too freaked out. I bent down to my little brother's level and asked him, "Ben, who is Camilla?" And he just said to me, it was his friend. A few weeks later, my grandmother sits down with her coworkers on break, and she proceeds to tell them what my mom had told her about Ben seeing this little girl in her backyard of her house. One of the older ladies, about in her 70s, told my grandmother that there was a tragic accident in I don't know how to pronounce this, it's a town in Florida, Ocee, Florida, in 1969. A man abducted an 8-year-old little girl, and when she was walking to school one day in early June 1969. The abduction happened about 1 block from the little girl's school, Spring Lake Elementary on Worst Road in Ocoee, I don't know how to say this, Florida. And the man then lured her in with her puppy, saying, "I found your puppy. Don't you want him back?" So the little girl, loving the dog, ignorant to what was about to happen, went over to the man who held her puppy and reached out to get her dog. Only then the man grabbed her and threw her into his car. That was all the lady knew about that. The following weekend, my grandmother picked Ben and me up for lunch. After we had eaten, she took us to Orange County Library in downtown Orlando, Florida, and we went in to look at the film reels of old newspapers from the 1960s and 70s, and what we found did not only shock us, but made more sense. We came across the Evening Star in June 1969, and we came across the story of a little girl being abducted and found, well, I'm not going to go into the details that they say, but she was killed. In June of 1969, police and investigators found a little brown dog dead on Stark Lake in Ocoee, Florida. And not even 3 hours later, the police found the small girl that had been killed in a small wetland area not far off of the Hiawassee Road in Florida. The little girl was that of remains of Camilla Jo Hand, an 8-year-old Spring Lake Elementary school second grader rather. Oddly enough, Benjamin, at the time of seeing Camilla, went to Spring Lake Elementary School. After we had found this information out, we saw that the Evening Star in 1969 printed a picture of her in that newspaper. So we printed the picture out and asked Ben if that was the girl he had seen in Grandma's backyard. Without any hesitation, he said yes. Now, somebody wrote a book on Camilla Jo Hand as one of the most famous Central Florida child abductions in a very long time. Sources said that Casey Anthony's case was much like that of the case of Camilla Jo Hand. Only difference is they found Camilla not even a week after her abduction. I believe the book is called A Little Girl is Murdered. To this day, Ben, fixing to be 9 years old in February, still says that almost every time he goes outside to my grandma's backyard, he still sees her. He sometimes says that he and she play together in the backyard. We don't think anything of it anymore besides the fact that my baby brother could be and probably is a sensitive. On a later report, I just got off the phone with my mom, who lives in Florida, whilst I'm up here in Michigan, and she told me that last night after dinner, Ben wanted some cake. So she cut him a piece of cake and handed it to him. After he was done, my mom told him to throw the paper plate away and to put the fork in the dishwasher. Now, this is at night around 8:30, so according to my mom, Ben went into the kitchen, threw his plate away, and put his fork into the dishwasher, but he said that before he closed the dishwasher, he felt someone was looking at him. So he turned around and saw Philip standing with his arms down by his side and a red t-shirt on. Philip is my mom's late boyfriend, and he had just died the day before, or the day after Thanksgiving in 2008. He died November 28th, 2008, unexpectedly and suddenly. He died of a massive heart attack, took a shock to everyone who knew and loved him, and to this day, I still don't want to believe that he's dead. But after Ben had seen Philip standing by the kitchen table, my mom said that he ran to the living room and sat in a chair with his mom. He started to cry, and my mom asked him why he was crying, and he didn't say. When my mom was going to drop him off for school today, Ben looked at my mom and said, "Mommy, I'm ready to tell you about last night, okay?" According to my mom, Ben had said that he saw Philip standing by the dining room table and had said all the details that I listed above. What do you think of all this? Ever since Ben has been 2 years old, he will be 9 this year, he's witnessed and heard and felt weird things and strange encounters. Could he possibly be sensitive? Yeah, I think that goes without saying. Please, I know all these things that are happening to my baby brother are neat, sometimes a good family laugh, but my brother has been experiencing these things all his life. Is he prone to be like this forever? In the 3 examples I listed above are the most defined and the most detailed that my baby brother can remember. There have been at least 10 cases like this coming from Ben. At least 10 times in his short 9 years, he has witnessed a spirit. Sometimes he says that he dreams about dead people, and in his dreams, These people say that they love him and care for him. Ben tells me all the time that he doesn't know what to make of this, but they keep coming in his dreams. And I know that at least 25 times he's come to me to talk about his dreams and his nightmares. But only at least 10 times he has told me that he has seen these things while he's awake and aware of what he is doing and what is going on. It's not that I'm scared. I don't understand why things are prone to him. So that's a tough one. Obviously, the little boy is sensitive. I mean, I think anybody could read that and put that together. That's not a big leap. But I think the hard part of that is that oftentimes these children go through this stuff alone. And God knows what they're seeing. God only knows what they're experiencing. And it's got to be absolutely terrifying and maybe encouraging in a lot of ways too, because sometimes spirits choose to show themselves in the state they were in when they passed. Like there's some kind of association for them. Maybe they're stuck in that moment. Maybe they're stuck in that reality of their situation, and so that's what they manifest. And I don't know if it's always intentional. I don't think they do it to freak people out. I think they kind of do it because maybe that's where they're at psychologically, and it's also a quick way of explaining and carrying that message on, for whatever reason, whether it's, the whole unfinished business thing or whatever, that they maybe need some closure. And so these sensitive people can perceive that and in an instant know, basically what had happened or how, that they were, what had occurred. Like, so for instance, the burned people, the people that are burned, oftentimes appear like these burned bodies. And that's a horrible thing to have to see. And for a small child to know that nobody else is experiencing it, that's tough. And so, I always advocate listening to kids when they say they see things. And kids have a fantastic imaginations. They do. They can put together elaborate tales. But they also, I believe in several cases, are actually witnessing something, and they don't know what to do with it. Now, I've talked many times on the show about, how many times have kids ran to their parents' bedroom and said, "There's someone in my closet, there's someone under my bed." And instantly the parental reaction is to try to diffuse that. No, it's nothing. It's just your imagination. Head back to bed. It's time to sleep. Just go to sleep. There's nothing there. And the damage I think that does is that you're telling your child, don't trust your intuition. Don't trust what you're experiencing. Whatever you're experiencing is not true. And I think that's wholly damaging. And I don't think it's done in a malicious way, obviously. We don't want to hurt our kids, but we're trying to soothe them or to help them process this or just, make it go away. And so if we tell them, no, there's nothing there, it's your imagination, that to us is us putting their fears to rest. But I think what it's doing for them is taking away that trust, that one place where they can go to help process this stuff, because they're experiencing things that there's no way they could be emotionally prepared for. I mean, even as adults, when people as adults see spirits, we're scraping our underwear. We're freaked out. And so how much worse is that for a child who doesn't understand what they're experiencing and then has nowhere to go with it because the one place that was safe just told them to go back to bed. It's in their imagination or it's just a bad dream. And so, it's not to say that kids don't have bad dreams and don't get freaked out for no reason, but I think that the dialogue is incredibly important and empowering because it'll reaffirm the kid's trust and you will remain someone they can talk to, but also, it can help in to talk to them and try to help them understand as best you can or find someone that can. And I'm not talking about get them medicated into to a psychologist. There may be cases for that, but, I would never advocate that right off the bat. Like, hey, my kid's seeing spirits. Obviously, I got to get him in to see someone, and that's a tragedy in itself. But I'm just saying, talk to them. When they say they see something, you gotta connect with them and make that okay. Because if you take that away from them, then they are all alone and they got to deal with it the best they can. And there's, I'm sure that there are asylums, filled with people that just happen to be sensitive, but nobody would listen. I mean, The Sixth Sense, right? That movie. The initial guy that if you haven't seen the movie, sorry, spoiler alert. The initial guy that Mark Wahlberg played, he was a tormented kid that was in Bruce Willis's character was the psychologist, and he was like, oh no, it's just machinations of your psychology, and just basically not believing him, and so the kid went crazy and ended up killing him, and so you just think about those kind of things. So I think talking is important, and trying to be understanding, even if you can't understand, try to understand, and at least just let them talk. I think anytime we are dealing with heavy stuff, we don't always need answers from people. We just need to be able to share it with people. And I think kids are the same. They just need to share what's freaking them out, and to know that there's comfort with the person they're sharing with. And we're no different as adults. So the worst ones are hey, there's someone looking at me from my closet. No, it's not, and I'll go back to bed. So they no longer have that dialogue possibility, and they have to go back to the exact place that they're terrified of, and they don't have a choice. Kids have to do what the parents say, and so that's a tough thing. So always be mindful of that. There are other sensitive people that would be happy to talk with kids that are coming up in this. If you happen to know one or have a child yourself that's dealing with experiencing things that are not seen by everyone else, try to get them in touch with somebody that can help them process it. I used to love that television show with Chip Coffey, and I don't remember the name of it. Obviously, it's a name, and that doesn't work real well for me. But it's kind of neat to put these kids in contact with someone that can maybe help guide them. It's got to be kind of a blessing and a curse, But just some thoughts on that. That's tough, and it's extra tough for young kids to go through it. All right, let's go to the next one, and this is from Indiana. This one's a short one. So this one is just having to do with miscellaneous activity. So it says, some information that might be needed. My friend and I are both females. She's 21 and I'm almost 16. She lives nearly across the county in Seattle, while I'm near Chicago. Oh, country. It says county, but they meant country. Okay. We've never done anything that involves any rituals. I'm Christian, while she isn't sure about religion at this point. About a year ago, around this time, I had a dream. I was running through the woods away from a wolf at night, but I didn't succeed at escaping his clutches, and nonetheless, to say I was torn to pieces. Oh, that's horrible. Wow. Though what puzzled me the most was when I woke up, I had 3 diagonal red lines cut into my skin. It was as if I'd been scratched. I matched up the marks to my nails, but the marks on my stomach are not the same as anything I could do with my nails or anything near me, anything at all. I didn't think much of it, but coincidence, right? Well, just now, my friend, a girl who lives nearly on the other side of the country, woke up and messaged me saying she was freaked out and it hurt. She finally told me what was hurting her, and she said in her dream a man attacked her in the woods. She couldn't see the man's face because it was nighttime. She said she was biting, scratching, and ripping at him, and she woke up with scratches all over her chest and her stomach, and they were bleeding. She didn't do it in her sleep, and there are no pets able to get into her room. Now, I know scientists have said that dream realm might be a third world of existence, aside from being awake and being asleep. I'm wondering spiritually if it's possible in that third existence for beings to inflict damage on us in this realm. If anyone can answer me or tell me more about this, that'd be appreciated. Let's see. Well, then it says if you have any comments about the third world or something like it, it'd be greatly appreciated. So can dreams hurt you? Not physically, but if it's not just a dream, if it's something else that can appear in your dreams as well as somewhat on the plane of existence that we live in, then I suppose it can. I do believe that people get scratched, people get bit, People get marked by spirits. I don't know if marking is a proper word or not, but I mean, if you're having an experience of waking up with scratches that don't make sense, could it be? Yeah, it could. Maybe it's something else. I don't know, but I don't think that it's wise to dismiss that kind of stuff. I think personally that we are multidimensional beings already, and I think that certainly the dream state would be one example of that. I think the astral plane would be another, and then how many others? There's a meditative place. Is that the same as the astral plane? I don't know. Maybe. Again, this is all ideas and theory on my part, but we just don't seem to have the awareness for it all the time. But as we drift into sleep, I think that we are experiencing a different kind of reality for sure. I think we're incredibly amazing beings. It's just that we don't know we don't realize it. We're kind of conditioned to be in these three dimensions, and we're somewhat encased in them until we do go to sleep, or until we have an astral projection. So out of body experiences or whatever have you. And I don't know if everybody out there believes in astral projection, but I definitely do. I think that reality is we live in a multiverse, and that's not unique to me. Obviously, there's a lot of information out there about that, but I think that we are multidimensional, and I think that there are also other things that are multidimensional, and as such, maybe they could appear in your dreams, and maybe they could affect your body at the same time, because they are not just limited to a singular dimensional awareness. I don't know. It's a powerful question, and I don't think maybe there's anybody that has that answer, but those are my thoughts on it for whatever that's worth. Very cool though. Very well, not cool. I mean, that's a little disturbing, but I've had many dreams like that. And some people say, well, if you die in your dreams, you die for real. And while I understand that could be the case, like if you had a weak heart or something, that you could have some kind of cardiac arrest while you're sleeping just due to the shock. And that's a possibility, but I don't think it's ever a good idea to assume that something can't happen, because I think this field alone, the paranormal field alone, shows you there are so many things that can and do happen all over the place. So, come to your own conclusions, I guess. Do your own research on that. But I think that there are things that do exist multidimensionally, and they can manifest in more than one at one time, whereas our awarenesses seem to be locked in one dimension, or three dimensions. I don't know if I'm talking in circles here or not, but I'm trying to make sense. I hope that it is making sense. You guys will have to tell me. Oh, yeah, I was going to talk about that. You're right, Duke. Thanks. You kind of brought me back to my train of thought. I have died in my dreams many times, and so far I'm still here, so that's encouraging. It's really weird dreams, too. There was one that was multi-layered. It was like I kept waking up in that same position after I had died in the sleep and repeating it and repeating it and repeating it. And I was just like, God, when will I ever wake up? I became aware of the fact that I was stuck in this loop, and it was frustrating, but I guess the more it happened, the less real it became, because at some point my conscious mind became aware of what was going on, and I was like, no, this isn't right. And maybe that's how I finally broke out of it. I don't remember. It was so long ago, but it was weird. Strangeness. That is the punctuation of the portal, ladies and gentlemen. Strangeness. All right, we got another one here. Okay, and this one is coming from Kansas. We ain't in Kansas no more. I think I've been through Kansas, but I don't recall much about it other than I think it's very flat. I think that's what I recall is it's very flat. I might be wrong. I don't know. But I've driven when I was doing a work where we did a lot of expos, and was in the preparedness industry, and we did a lot of expos all over the place, and we drive all over. And I'm sure I drove through Kansas, but I don't remember it much because, no offense to anybody if you're from Kansas, but I didn't see much on my journey through it that was memorable. All right, so this last one is Kansas. Well, not last one. The one that I've pulled up here. It's a very short story. It has to do with orbs, lights, and mists, which is funny because we let off the show with orbs. And again, check out the Blue Light and Bigfoot interview where they had me on there, and they were interested in what I had to say. So this happened in a house that I moved out of with my family not too long ago. It really was a normal house with one stony and one half-finished basement. One story, rather, not stony. God, I might need to start wearing glasses. One story and a half-finished basement. I never really had anything paranormal happen to me in that house. The only events I can remember, other than the story I'm about to tell, is that I got up once in the middle of the night to use the restroom and saw an orange glow just floating in midair. It was most likely just those spots you get over your vision after looking at a bright light for too long. The only thing was, it was only there for about a second. And when usually it takes about 15 seconds for these spots to fade. And there's usually more than one, but I really just look at this as a figment of my imagination. The only reason I know that I saw what I did is because another time my sister saw it as well. I was in the dining room upstairs, and for some reason that I don't remember, I looked out the window, and like most little sisters, she loves to copy her older siblings. So I pulled back the curtain and looked out into the backyard, and then something very surprising happened. A bright white light moved from one end of the backyard to the other. It wasn't a plane or a helicopter light because there was no noise. My sister asked me, "Did you see that light?" I quickly replied that I hadn't seen a thing and that it was just her imagination. I said this only because I didn't want to freak her out. Okay. Does anyone have any idea what this light could have been? I'm going to go with orb for $10. Did I win? I don't know. It sounds like an orb. And there are stories upon stories upon stories, especially in forested, wooded areas, of people seeing these anomalous ghost lights. They're often called ghost lights. And they're these seemingly intelligent lights that wander through the forests and wooded lands. That's where they're most often seen, or at least most often reported. And maybe it's because out there it's more recognizable than anywhere else. Because if you see a light in the city, well, it's just one of many lights, and it may not really grab your attention. But if you see it in the forest where there isn't lights, then that really sticks out. These things do seem to know what they're doing. They seem to have an intelligence. They seem to have a purpose. But it's very strange, and I can't say I've ever seen them. I have seen orbs, but it was always where I am. And the ones that I've seen with my eyes are, literally like the size of a quarter in diameter, and they're like these little golden suns. I've seen them twice, and both times they look like little balls of light, like a little sun, but not so bright. And, I don't know, but I've not seen them in the woodlands. I can't say I spent a lot of time looking for them either, but the area where I'm from, I don't recall anybody ever having made claims of these kind of ghost lights. But there's a lot of places that do. There's a lot of places, especially, it seems, I don't want to speak out of turn because I'm no expert on this, but it seems that it's in very, forested areas and mountains. Could be something with the geography of it that makes it more likely to happen. I don't know. Again, I don't pretend to know what they are, but I do believe that they could be spiritual. They could be something multidimensional. I don't know. Again, it's all speculation, but they do happen. Now, I don't agree with this author's insistence on telling their little sister that it was just her imagination, because there again, it's like she saw something, she witnessed something, and it's just been readily dismissed so as not to freak them out. I understand the protective mechanism, but I don't think it's ever wise, in my opinion, to tell somebody they didn't see what they saw. I don't think that's good. I think that creates barriers, that creates walls in our psyche. So, and just my 2 cents again, but I think it's important to acknowledge things and discuss them as best you can. If you don't have the answers, that's fine, but you can still discuss the phenomena. And I think some people are so frightened of discussing the phenomena, and I guess it stands to reason. But that one sounds kind of cool. I don't know if we'll get time for it tonight. I'm going to save that one for tomorrow night. Let's do this one next. This one's pretty short, and it comes from Massachusetts. It has to do with a haunted life. This is my first of many stories I'll write about, and it kind of freaks me out, and I wonder whether anybody could help me. My first experience was when I was 8 years old, a month after we just moved into our house. I scurried to the bathroom to go potty, and as I was washing my hands, I turned and nearly screamed. I saw a ghostly wisp of a tail and an upper half of a body passing through my bedroom door, which was closed. I hightailed it downstairs and told my parents. Well, my parents said I was seeing things. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. The second experience was when I was in the 4th grade. I just got off my school bus and walked towards my house. I turned the knob of my door. It was locked. I got very scared and kept pushing on the door until finally I gave it a little push and it popped open. I remember by the door, it was really cold. I heard someone upstairs and called out thinking it was my mom or one of my 3 sisters, but nobody answered. About 3 months ago, I saw a glowing blue ball of light, and later an image of a girl with blonde hair, blue eyes, maybe 13, the same age as me. I remember brushing my teeth in the bathroom when I heard someone walking in the hallway. When I looked over, there was nobody in the hallway, and this has occurred many times. I was at school in science class doing work when my friend Haley went to the bathroom, and I heard someone come into the room. About 5 minutes later, walk behind me and sit in the chair next to me. Thinking it was Haley, I looked over, but there was no one there. About a minute later, Haley did come in, and she was also haunted by a ghost. I got out of the shower, excuse me. I got out of the shower and my mirror fogged up like always. I always lock the bathroom door too, and when I looked at the mirror, there was a broken heart drawn into the steam on the mirror. Can anyone explain to me how to communicate with a ghost a bit more? No. She also likes to walk around at night between 2 and 4 in the morning or tap on my door, making it creak. So the mirror thing is, obviously, if somebody's touched the mirror, done anything to a mirror, and it hasn't been cleaned, there's going to be residual oils, which will keep the steam from creating a consistent covering on the mirror. So that may very well be mundane. And, other than that, I don't know. Sounds like you got something going on there. But the mirror thing is kind of, it's not really strong evidence, I don't think. Okay, let's go to the next one. And this is from California. How are we doing? Okay. This one, no, I think we can maybe get both of these. But this one's California. It has to do with apparitions, voices, and touches. This morning I was lying in bed at my boyfriend's house after he'd gone to work. I was lying on my stomach with my face in the pillow with a pillow next to me, so I could not see next to me or behind me. Surprisingly, I was wide awake just thinking about calling one of my friends when I felt something on the bed. I felt little indents being made on the bed, one after another on either side of me. It felt almost as if a dog had put his paw down, walking on the bed, except that we have no pets. They were in random places, and after feeling about 5 or 6 of them, I got so scared and I just froze. Now, I usually sleep with the blanket tight under my feet, and I hold it in tight with both hands. So right after the indents on the bed, I felt something try to move the blanket, but because I held it so tightly, it was like it was just vibrating over my back. Then a few seconds after that, I felt an evenly distributed pressure all across my lower back as if someone was sitting on me. It was at that point something leaned over and in my right ear made a very odd electrical noise. Then instantly it left and all was calm. There are no electrical devices in the room. Any idea what it was? I'm going to go with, I don't know. I don't know. They're tough. It could be a ghost, sure. Could be. Lots of times, and that's the curiosity. So the thing I find most unusual is that in some of these stories like this, people feel depressions on the bed. Like, beds seem to be the most common, but people will see depressions in chairs as well. As if whatever's sitting there actually has mass and it has weight. But obviously these things don't in our traditional sense, but they can still mimic that somehow. And I don't know if it's I don't know how that works. Because if it's a ghost, they're purely energetic and they have no mass in the traditional form. But they can still create that weight. Now, my mom had a dog, and I've told this story dozens of times on the show, but it's a reference point. These are reference points that I can share with you. It's not that I like repeating the same stories, but it's a phenomena that I think needs further exploration. And she had this little dog that passed, and she says she still, from time to time, will feel him jump up on the bed, walk around, do his circles of, searching for the right spot, and then plop down. And of course, when she looks, there's nothing there. But she feels it. And that is curious to me. That's really curious to me. I don't know exactly how that works, but I find it interesting that people can we hear the disembodied footsteps all the time, and it sounds like boots clonking on a floor. Sometimes even in carpeting, it'll sound like walking on wood, and that could just be a residual thing. But there does seem to be stairs creaking, that normally do creak when something's walking on them. So is this some kind of dimensional bleed through from whatever dimension or reality that they're in, or this other world that seems to butt up next to ours somehow? Is that somehow a cross-dimensional thing? I don't know. It's really puzzling, though. How do these things have weight? How can they mimic weight? And many people, again, talk about seeing the mattress depressed as if somebody's sitting on it. So it's actually deforming the mattress. I don't know. It's very strange. But again, these are the breadcrumbs, ladies and gentlemen. These are the breadcrumbs that I always talk about. What does that mean? What is that phenomenon? And what does it imply? I don't know. I'm not so sure, but I know that I find it incredibly interesting. So I think I'll read this last one, and this will be the last one tonight. And it's coming from California. And it's a medium-sized story, so it's not horribly long. So I might keep you right to the full hour if that's okay with you. And this one has to do with miscellaneous phenomena. It says, my brother's birthday just passed. It was the 23rd of January, and he passed on July 2nd of 2007. This story was written in 2009. The night before his birthday, sometime between 8 and 8:30, I was sitting on my computer going through my emails, and my youngest daughter was sitting in the living room watching TV. My computer's in the dining room, and next to it is my island counter, and the sink is right on the other side of the counter. If you just turn your head to the right when sitting at my computer, and you can see the kitchen. While I was checking my emails, I heard this bang noise, and it was near the kitchen sink, so I just ignored it, and I was still checking the emails when I heard it again, and it was louder. Well, that's when I yelled, "What the heck is that?" and jumped up. Then my daughter shouted to me and said, "Mom, it sounded like someone was throwing up in the kitchen." But to me, it sounded like something had slammed hard into my sink. I walked up to the sink, and there was one plastic cup and a couple of glass bowls, and I started banging the cup to see if it was the same sound, and I was really trying hard to find a reason for what had happened. After that, I couldn't find a logical explanation. I was a little upset because it was so loud. Soon after that, I was talking to my oldest daughter on the phone, and I decided to go out to the garage so I could talk in private. And while I was out there in the garage, it got very bright. And I told my daughter that all of a sudden the garage had more lights on. So I checked, and our spotlight that you used to work on cars had turned on. That reminds me of Adam's story. There are two switches, just like light switches. You have to switch on the back of the light. And I know when I walked out to the garage at first, that light was not on. In fact, it was very dim out there at first. Well, I ended up just going back inside, and I hung up the phone. And that's when my baby girl told me, Mom, tomorrow is Uncle's birthday. And then I said to her back, you're right. He wants to let us know that he still visits us, and especially on holidays or special occasions. Another strange thing occurred this afternoon while my two girls and I were outside. We were all three standing in my front driveway, and out of nowhere there was a bubble, which I know this must sound strange, and trust me, it's very awkward writing this, but there was a clear round bubble floating in the middle of our driveway. Then it went straight for my house and I guess popped, but we have no idea where it came from. There were no kids around playing with bubbles, and it was the strangest thing ever for it just to appear out of nowhere. My oldest girl said, "Darn, Mom, every time I come to visit, something happens." And she's like me, trying to find a logical answer, and we both tend to get frustrated when we can't find an explanation that makes sense. I finally said, my youngest daughter's birthday is tomorrow, the 27th, so maybe it was Uncle again telling her happy birthday. I have to say that seeing that bubble float right past us out of nowhere was really something. That's cool. Those are the stories I really love, because it's that reaffirmation of that love that continues. It exists. It's, those people that love us are still a part of our lives, and they're still making themselves known to us, which I think, to me, is incredibly comforting. It's, the finality of death just seems like this impenetrable wall that we're all faced with. And on this side is those of us that are still here, and on the other side is those people that we've lost to that transition. But it's really cool when they come back and they stop in and they check on us and they let us know they're there. I think that is such a strong testament of love, and what a cool thing. And so, a lot of times people have these weird events happen and they don't really understand or don't know what it is, and who can blame them? Because they don't, they just come, they just happen, and it takes you off your center, it takes you off balance. But sometimes if you slow down and you think, then you might find a reason that somebody might be coming to say hello. And that turns into a beautiful thing, I think. But I don't know. It's all up to you guys. I don't mean to tell you what to believe or what not to believe, but I think they're always still with us, that love is that connection that even that impenetrable wall can't break. They're still connected to us, and they're still existing in their own way, and they're still connected energetically with that love. So that to me is a beautiful thing. And so I hope in some small way that helps someone out there. I don't know. It does to me. My dad, I believe, still visits. He visits my mom. I just talked to her today, and she's telling me about the new things that are going on over there. And if you're not familiar with what I'm talking to you about, my dad passed away a couple years ago, and he makes himself known. And he's done some incredibly bizarre stuff, but it's very powerful. I mean, it's just really cool. And to know that he's still taking an interest, he's still involved, he's not forgotten us, and we, of course, haven't forgotten him. So those are all wonderful things, and I hope that, if you're ever dealing with a haunting experience, you can find something beautiful in it like that. That might make sense. It might tell you who it is, what's going on. Sometimes they're just clues, trying to give you a message. So anyway, I guess that's going to wrap it up for me. I don't know what else to tell you. It's been a full hour of fun here on the Paranormal Portal, so I hope it's been a full hour of fun for you as well. Thank you to everybody who's shown up and come in today to check out the show. Thank you to everybody who's been sending me messages. It's wonderful to meet you guys. Those of you that are finding the shows and enjoying them, it's an absolute honor. And if you have a story of your own and you'd like to share it, please email me at paranormalportalradio@gmail.com. I'd love to tell your story too, or have you on our podcast to tell your own story. If you follow the podcast and are listening to it, just know that we're kind of taking a hiatus for a little bit. We've been doing 10 shows a week for just over a year. And so we're taking this week off, and maybe next week too. We'll see. But there's a lot of transitional things going on. So we'll keep you all updated. If you want to keep updated with the portal, follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/Paranormal Portal Radio. And we'll let you know of anything coming up. But if you're looking for new podcasts, you're not going to find a new one this week. But just know that there's, what is there, 160, I don't know, I think over 160 podcasts out there. So check them out. Check out the back catalog. And check out the back catalog here on YouTube. We got over 650 episodes here that you can enjoy as well. So lots available. And I'll be back tomorrow with more of the Night Terrors, so I hope you'll join me then. 7 days a week, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time during the quarantine. I'll be doing daily shows right here at 7 p.m., so I hope you'll continue to join us. I'll be back tomorrow night. I hope you'll join me, and spread the word. Keep letting people know about the portal. It's been growing fantastically, and I have all of you to thank for that. I've not spent a dime advertising the Paranormal Portal. You guys have done it for me, and for that, I'm eternally grateful. Thank you so much. I love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other. Help each other out. Find the magic in every day, and remember to laugh as much as you can. And I'll be here tomorrow. So hopefully you'll be with me. Good night, everybody. And I got to pull up the thing because my remote thing isn't working. Good night, everybody, and sweet dreams.